On May 1st, International Workers' Day, the central government implemented a citywide lockdown in Istanbul. Over 70 roads and mass transit routes were closed in an attempt to prevent left-wing groups from mobilizing. This action effectively transformed the most populous city in Europe into a ghost town. Despite these stringent measures, clashes erupted between marchers and the police. Left-wing groups, supported by trade unions and the main opposition party CHP, sought to advance toward City Hall, attempting to cross thousand-year-old aqueducts. Thousands of demonstrators converged on the police barricade, endeavoring to breach it. As the confrontation escalated, the police responded with less lethal force to disperse the crowd. In the midst of the chaos, Medyascope reporter Edanur Tanış found herself caught in the crossfire.
Gözüme geldi ya.
It was absolute chaos. The marcher clashed with the police. It was extremely violent. I myself got pepper sprayed in the face. It was very painful.
May 1st has long been a day of significant political importance and turmoil in Turkey. Under the rule of President Erdogan's right-wing government for the past 2 decades, May 1st remains entrenched in Turkish memory as a day of rebellion, and more significantly, as a symbol of the country's political division, which has occasionally erupted into violence, sometimes ending in bloodshed. In the late 1970s, political violence in Turkey escalated significantly, reaching a point where it was likened to a low-level civil war. Right-wing ultranationalist groups, often with tacit support from the state, formed death squads that targeted left-wing opposition members, resulting in thousands of casualties. One of the events that lived in infamy was the Taksim Square massacre in Istanbul on May 1st, 1977. The Taksim Square massacre, also known as Bloody May 1st, was an armed attack where leftist demonstrators were gunned down, resulting in the deaths of between 34 and 42, and injuring hundreds. Despite investigations, none of the perpetrators were ever caught, and since that day, Taksim, the most famous and central district in Istanbul, has been hailed as a symbolic and sacred place for the left-wing movement in Turkey. Since then, political groups and trade unions have attempted to reclaim Taksim Square, but have consistently faced obstacles. A brief period of peaceful protests occurred for 3 years leading up to 2013. However, the situation escalated dramatically with the historic Gezi protest, which lasted over 2 months and posed the first significant challenge to President Erdogan's authority. Ever since then, the Erdogan government has shown no tolerance to public displays of dissent, particularly in Taksim, which has become a symbol of defiance against the government. The Turkish Constitutional Court last year ruled that the closure of Taksim constituted a violation of rights. The court argued the square's importance as a shared memory and symbolic value for workers and laborers, saying, "Considering Taksim Square's symbolic significance in the connection with May 1st Labor and Solidarity Day, it holds profound importance for the applicants, other unions, and workers. Thus, Taksim Square, being a cornerstone of labor and union culture, not only represents the solidarity of those present on May 1st, but also signifies the collective memory of workers." In spite of the central government's attempt to quash the unrest beforehand, the opposition party, fueled by a recent historic victory in local elections, rallied behind the trade unions as CHP invited marchers to assemble at City Hall on May 1st. Istanbul Chair Özgür Çelik issued a statement calling people to join them in City Hall to march to Taksim. In the end, marchers were unsuccessful in reaching the City Hall that would take them to Taksim, declaring the battle lost, but not the war. The recent local elections saw the opposition party become the most popular party since 1977, leading many to speculate that Erdogan's iron grip on the nation might be eroding. While hopes were high on May 1st that the country's opposition would make history, it appears that the central government has prevailed once again. But this May 1st indicates that this may only be the beginning of change in Turkey.